Hello, today everyone in my village is very busy. You can hear chainsaws, lawnmowers. People got really active with very good weather and dry conditions. And today I started gathering the first fleshy fruit in my garden. I live in a continental climate where winters are quite cold and we always wait for spring, and then when spring comes we wait for summer and for the first fruits. And traditionally here the first fruits were wild strawberries, which mature here in June. But this is a species which is cultivated in the gardens, and it already matures usually in end of May, but this year is very, very early, and I had the first fruits on the 29th of April. The scientific name of this species is Lonicera caerulea, literally blue honeysuckle. Other names include honeyberry, sweetberry honeysuckle, edible honeysuckle, or haskap. The name haskap is very interesting because it comes from the Ainu language, a language of a minority in Japan who used this plant for food. The species is sometimes divided into microspecies, and the species are separate, but I think it's better to treat it as one species with a very large range, because it grows in North America, in Canada, but also can be found in Japan, in the Far East, in northern Russia, northern Europe, but also it can be found in the mountains of southern Central Europe, in high elevations, for example in Croatia. I saw it in the Velebit mountains, on the edge of spruce forests, and when spruce forests actually reach the upper limit. So when you walk along the Velebit range at the top, you can see gigantic bushes of the same species which was eaten by people in Siberia and in the north of North America, which is, I think, quite amazing. Here in Poland, where I live, the local name, most common name, is Jagoda Kamczacka, means the Kamchatka berry, because the variety cultivated here comes from Kamchatka. The species looks a bit like a blueberry, like a bilberry, but it's not related to it. It comes from the Caprifoliaceae family, so it's related to all these honeysuckles climbing on the walls and on fences in the gardens, and it's related to elderberry, but not to blueberry. But it also has some properties very similar to blueberries. So it contains a lot of anthocyanins and is kind of antioxidant, can lower blood pressure, is good for the heart, is antibacterial, is also antisclerotic. So it's very, very healthy to eat it, and also to make juices out of it. Collecting it is quite tricky because the berries really easily fall from the bushes, and they are hidden under the leaves. So an extra health benefit is that you have to put some effort into collecting them. This is one of the most important fruit plants in Siberian part of Russia, and it was the Russians who first started growing different varieties of it in the 1950s in Siberia. Also, the Japanese in the 1970s started making varieties, and then also in Saskatchewan in North America there were some experiments, and new varieties were grown. The plant is virtually unknown in Western Europe, but it is easy to grow. It grows very easily, fruits very early, so it's a fantastic fruit bush, and I highly recommend it growing in a variety of countries, in a variety of climates. Very, very easy. It's not very quickly growing, but it really has delightful fruits that can be used very early. the taste is a bit like blueberries. It's a bit bitterish, and the selection of varieties goes towards larger berries, the berries which are not as bitter, more like sweet, and with the harder berries, so that they don't break during transportation, which is a common feature which is selected when you grow new varieties of fruits. Most honeysuckle species from the genus Lonicera are slightly toxic, are not edible, they have bitter berries. But there are some exceptions. It's not only Lonicera caerulea, haskap berry. There is also a Chinese species which has very tasty fruits, which have red color. And the scientific name of the species is Lonicera standishi. A few years ago, I was taking part in a research project documenting ethnobotany, especially wild food uses of plants in central China. And each year in summer I would go to China, to different valleys in Shanxi and Gansu province, to document traditional use of plants. And there we came across a species which was eaten, Lonicera standishi. It's got red fruits and leaves which are much longer than haskap berries. Look like willow leaves, but they are opposite. And the local Chinese name is Ku Tang Pao, means bitter sweet bubble. So there is a little bit of bitterness in the taste, but it's really, really tasty. So I suppose this could be another new species which could be promoted in the world as a cultivated fruit, which is really, really little known.